Hey, welcome back to Right on the Money. Our guest today, Dan Brooks, president and founder of Xexis Private Wealth in Florida. But Dan, actually, like you mentioned before, heck with Zoom, everywhere.
Yeah, we have clients move from Florida, and we can keep working with Zoom, and we have referrals from outside the state more and more all the time. That, Zoom is almost like being there, and
sure
people
is.
are more and more used to it. So
It sure is.
It's a great tool.
Now we're going to dive into, I think this is a really key area. We got two things to talk about here, but the differences and I think a lot of people miss this, but the differences when it comes to investment strategies and the need for change from the accumulation years to those retirement years. Break it down for us, Dan.
Most people accumulate their wealth before retirement in the stock market. And the market has always been a great way to do that. It's one of the wealth generators that people use. The other big one would be real estate. But since most people use the stock market, and we manage money, our group manages billions of dollars, so we understand it very well. Of course, people know the market fluctuates.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about 2008, where it dropped, for many people over 50%. But if you're approaching retirement now, in 2008, you were a younger person. First of all, you didn't have as much money built up. And secondly, when the market dropped 45, 55%, you were feeding it into your 401k or IRA on the bottom. You were buying it on sale. So that creates what's called hindsight bias, which means your account, because you bought it on sale, came back faster than the market as a whole. And people remember that. So they think it's going to happen again. And it might if you're still feeding it when it's down.
Sure.
But in retirement, when you're relying on that money, are you taking money, are you putting money in when you're 72? No, you're taking it out. So those are two completely separate ways of doing things. And the hindsight bias of what happened to you back in 2008 could be completely different if it happened to you in 2030.
Well, you do such a great job in the book of laying out those differences, that the accumulation years, your growth focused, the retirement years, your income focused, which is fantastic. Which brings me to, in the book you mentioned this is something we need to touch on, maybe one of the most overlooked aspects of retirement planning, long-term care. How important is it? And give us an overview.
Well, when we say long-term care, what we're talking about is the potential for huge medical expenses. Normally later in life. It doesn't happen. It doesn't have to be. The need for long-term care help could happen at any age. But we group it as long-term care, meaning, what happens if I need somebody to come into the house or I need to go into a facility? Somebody has to pay for that. Medicare does not pay for it. They only pay for about 13%. So it's your money that's going to pay for it. And it can be hyper expensive. Today it can be $30,000 to $120,000 a year. So that can wipe out somebody's nest egg pretty quickly.
Yeah.
People have a lot of misconceptions. They say, well, I looked at long-term care insurance and it's just way too expensive. And that's true. If you're 60 years old, it's very expensive. What they don't know is there's several other options, and there's always new ones coming on that they just haven't heard about. So what we find is that people kind of bury their head in the sand because they can't get long-term care insurance. They thought that was the only solution. Yeah. They don't know about the other solutions, and when we explain those to them, we get like, wow, I didn't know we could do that. So there are ways to mitigate those costs that most people just aren't aware of.
That's what I love about the system you use, the E system, that E, education, and really almost re-education, because there are these preconceived notions. And we were talking about it in the first session about the amount of information that's
sometimes
out there.
It's deprogramming.
Yeah, that's a great word.
Yeah.
That is a great word. Now, for those of you that are out there, you definitely want to get out onto Amazon and you want to find this book, The Truth About the Financial Industry's Profit First Agenda. If you have any questions you'd like to ask Dan, his contact information up on the screen, but the book goes into estate planning. We don't have time to talk about these ones, avoiding common pitfalls and how to create a holistic plan. We didn't even talk about taxes. So, folks, you need that book. Dan, thank you for being on the show. We appreciate it.
Good to be here, Dennis.
Absolutely. And then for those of you out there, don't forget, you can watch full Right on the Money Show episodes on our official YouTube channel or at rightonthemoneyshow.com. Now that's the spot where you can get the up-to-date financial news the insights from the top insurance and financial professionals in your area. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.